Happy Friday and welcome back to Drinking by My Shelf. Today, it's everyone's favourite time of the month. We're gonna play Balancing the Books. I love this game so much more now that I took away all of the rules. Oh my goodness, all games should have no rules. So, let's start with the books that I got in December. It's not that many. I was worried that with Christmas it would explode, but actually, I think everyone knows by now my TBR situation, so I didn't really get any books for Christmas. I still always want more books as presents, but for the purposes of my TBR shelf, that was a wonderful thing. So, let's see the books that I got. It's just 5 books. 5 books. This is one that I got from work, not for Christmas, just took it home from the office. It's called Just Eat It by Laura Thomas, and this book may have changed my life. I absolutely loved it. So it's about, this is not the real cover obviously, it's about intuitive eating. So the real cover has a nice donut on it, it says Just Eat It, and it says how intuitive eating can help us get our shit together around food, which we all need because, as Laura Thomas, the author, says, this shit is exhausting. I mean, like, hands up if food is complicated for you. Oh look, all of you have your hands up. None of us just eat food like we're supposed to, which is just for energy to keep us alive. It's all like caught up in so much, oh yeah, that's what the cover looks like. Train of thought, Emma. It's caught up in so much complicated shit. Basically, what we think we are and aren't supposed to eat, and how much we are and aren't supposed to eat, and like how we will look and how it will affect how we look. Like, my motives for eating are basically never just being hungry and then stopping when I'm full. It's always caught up in so many other things, and I want all of that to stop. And this book will help that all stop. I got to interview the author, which was great, and that video actually went up on Book Break last week. We went and got our nails done. Here they are, my manicure is still here. It was very nice and luxurious. We went to this lovely place called House Cats in Fulham, got our nails painted and chatted about what intuitive eating is. So this is like the anti-New Year's resolution guide, basically. I'm not making any New Year's resolutions, I've just read this, and instead I'm gonna just embrace mindful eating and not having rules and not having guilt or feeling bad about myself ever again. Probably not that simple, but that's how great this book is. So, just eat it. I didn't do the thing where I tell you what I started with. Hang on, I'm so ahead of myself. I started with 49 books. Okay, you can put that on the screen now. And then I hauled this one, which brings it up to 50, but then I read this one, which brings it back down to 49. Beautiful, we're back up to scratch. Okay, another book I got, oh, actually, you know what, I'm going to say this one. This is a book I got in November, but I deliberately didn't include it in my Balancing the Books because it was a spoiler for a Book Break episode. So this is Nell Dunn, Talking to Women, and I was given this book as my Secret Santa present from Lena. So in the Book Break Christmas special, me, Jean, and Lena, who are all the 3 like present and past hosts of Book Break, just basically met up and had a really Christmassy day, and it was so much fun. We went out for lunch, we played games, and we did a Secret Santa book swap. So Lena bought me this one, and I didn't want to put it in my Balancing the Books because it was a surprise for the video. But now I've got it, and it sounds so good. It's literally what the title says. It's Nell Dunn talking to women, like over a glass of wine, and finding out about their lives. And she had these conversations in 1964. So I'm just really excited to sort of see how the conversations were so similar to the kind of things that we have now, what was different about it. Anything that amplifies women's voices is good in my book. So seriously, well done Lena for knowing that I would like this book so much. When I went home for Christmas, but this wasn't a Christmas present, my mum just gave me because she'd just finished it, Sally Rooney, Conversations with Friends. Everyone's been talking about this book, so I figured I should probably read it. And also Normal People as well, everyone's talking about that. Let me know if you have read them, which one you prefer, because I feel like everyone has a favourite of the two. They're just like the buzz of the moment. So I have that now, that's exciting. Oh no, I have a massive hole in my sock. These socks are probably 10 years old, I'm gonna have to throw them away after this. Focus, Emma. So then the 2 books that I did get for Christmas, this one was from my parents, it's all about Emily Davison. So that'll be really fun because she is obviously an amazing woman and she went to the same college that I went to at university. So it's like we're basically the same person, and I will now take credit for all of her accomplishments. And then my sister gave me this, Bookworm, a memoir of childhood reading, which looks really lovely. It's Lucy Mangan kind of revisiting all the books that she read as a child, sort of talking about what they gave her, which I think is so lovely and wonderful because there's so many books I read as a child that I probably don't even remember them, but they gave me my worldview and kind of inspired the person I am, and I always think that's so It's such a lovely thought. I was such a bookworm when I was a child. I was constantly reading. So I love kind of thinking, what were all those worlds I was escaping to, and like, how did they shape the person I am now? Because they probably played such a huge role. So that's my book haul. Not too scary. That brings me up from 49 to 53. But then I read some books. Firstly, one that I DNF'd, sadly, because I've been holding on to this one since June 2015. It was the oldest book on my TBR, or rather the longest that had been there. I've got some that are like older books. My sister gave this to me for my birthday, whatever number birthday 2015 was, I've lost track of how old I am, but as part of this really amazing present she gave me, where my birthday is June 16th, and she gave me 6 presents individually wrapped up, and the first one said open on your birthday, and it was a book called The 16th of June by Maya Lang, and then the rest of them I got to open once a month. So it was great because I love my birthday, and it meant my birthday lasted like 6 months, because once every month I could open a new book, and each new book had that month in the title. So we had 4th of July Creek, we had the first 15 lives of Harry August, is that what that one's called? One just called September, the October list, November, and a week in December. But I didn't read this one. I read them all the month that I opened them, except for this one, because that year I did Diverse December. So I only read books by marginalised authors. And then I kind of forgot to read it the December after, and now we suddenly find ourselves like 3 years on. So I was finally excited to pick this one up, and I just could not get into it. I just found it was so overly descriptive that I couldn't actually engage with anything that was going on, any of the characters. So I haven't got that far into it, and maybe I'll try again. But for the moment, I was reading it on the train, and you know when you're on a train and you've got nothing else to do other than read, and you still can't get into a book, that's never a great sign. So that's a shame. It was a really lovely present anyway. But I have DNF'd this one for now. So the ones I actually read, let's go back to the beginning of December. I read The Rumour by Leslie Cara, so I've talked about this one in the Cloak and Dagger readathon wrap-up video. I will link to that below and upwards, wherever that goes. I really enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. It's a really fun thriller with a great twist, really recommend. I'll say more about it in the other video. And again, on that same note, I read Outside by Sarah Ann Jux, another really fun thriller, also mentioned in that video. Those are both 4-star reads, like whizzed through them, great fun. I read The Man Who Didn't Call, also for the Cloak and Dagger readathon. Basically just go over there instead of here, I've got them all reviewed in there. Really liked this one. Fantastic twist, such a good twist. It's totally genre defying, it's kind of a thriller, but it's also a romance, and you don't usually see those properly working together, but they did. Anonymous Girl, you guessed it, you'll find it in the Cloak and Dagger readathon video. But this video is just really easy for me to make. I don't have to do any of the reviews because I already did them. Once Upon a River, I read by Diane Setterfield, and this one was a little bit of a disappointment, which is a shame because I just reread The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield and loved it. So I was really excited to read her new one, and it was okay, and there were bits of it that I loved. The premise in general I really loved, and all the pieces coming together was great, but it didn't grip me. It was a little bit boring to read, so that was a bit of a shame, because I would recommend it as a story. It was very mystical and magical. It's about, right at the beginning, a man stumbles into this pub full of people drinking and telling each other stories, and he stumbles in with a dead girl in his arms. But then the girl wakes up, and it's already very strange because a nurse had checked her and she was definitely not alive, and then she was alive again. And then 3 different people think that they know who this girl is. One family think it's their daughter who was kidnapped 2 years ago. A man thinks it's his baby girl who only just went missing, and one woman thinks it's her sister, despite the fact that she's like 30 years older than this baby. She's convinced it's her little sister. Sorry, it's not a baby, it's a 4-year-old girl. So, mystery, and it is exciting and intriguing figuring out who this little magical girl really is. And I loved all of that, and I loved the way that the story bordered on being magical and fantastical all the time, but always managed to almost 100% keep a arm in reality. Is that a phrase? I don't think so. That's my favourite kind of thing, where it's not overtly fantasy or supernatural, but there's just a few little unexplained things. So the premise is great, but yeah, like I said, I just found it a little bit boring to read. There were just, I think, too many unnecessary scenes, really. And then finally, I read Murder at the Old Vicarage by Jill McGowan, which was really fun. This was A Christmas Mystery. I read this for Cloak and Dagger as well, but I hadn't finished it by the time I posted that video, so you won't see it reviewed in there. I thought it was really fun. It's a book originally written in the 80s. This murder happens at a vicarage. It wasn't like a gripping thriller. It's a sort of cosy crime story. It's very Agatha Christie, though not quite as scary as Agatha Christie. It's basically just perfect for reading by the fire over Christmas, which is what I did. I just really enjoyed it. I wasn't absolutely gripped by it, I wasn't absolutely blown away by the ending, but that isn't really what this kind of book is for, I think. I think it succeeds perfectly in what it's being, which is just a really cosy, fun Christmas mystery. So get that one ready for next Christmas. And that's it! That's all of my books. So what does that make it? I think I've gone from 49 to 46. Not bad! We're making progress. So that concludes one full year of balancing the books. And let me just see what I had been planning. Originally, if I stuck to my -5 every month, I was planning to have just 15 books by the beginning of January. And actually I've got 40, what did I just say? 46. Wow, that's not ideal, is it? But I started with 77, so we are making progress. And also, I now have 0 books that I bought before 2016. Everything is from 2016 onwards, so just a casual 3 years. And I only have 5 books left that I got before 2017. So my goal by the end of next year is that that should also be at a 0. And we're doing pretty well. We are slowly but surely reducing that TBR. So place your predictions below how many books I will have this time next year. Will I be down to the coveted 15 books on my TBR, or will it have rocketed back up to 93? Who knows? But give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying balancing the books, and do subscribe to this channel because I post new videos every Friday. See you next time!